Sal Internado here for Black Knight Nation. We're kicking up this podcast. We're getting back to a little reunion of sorts, Steve, when we used to do this back in the day, right? I'm here with Steve Anderson, 2-year Army football captain, and we're going to go over the Army Air Force game, big game tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely huge game tomorrow. I know I've got my time set aside to where I should not be troubled at all during that 3-4 hour block.
Where are you watching it?
I'm gonna be watching it in my man cave. So we did a big Army Navy production down at the in the neighborhood. I was with Bryce Holland. He's here at the 101st Airborne Division. I was with Ryan Powis, the center before him.
Yeah.
And then Zach Peterson is currently forward, but I had like 3 generations of centers, at the 101st at one time. So, they're all good buddies of mine. So I just watched Bryce get his EIB, as an infantryman. It's a huge thing to do. So had family and friends, had neighbors. Everybody came out to see the Army Navy game, and it was a heck of a game. We all just went on leave starting today, so everybody's going all over the country. So me and my family are just going to watch it, let the boys watch it, and hopefully bring home a CIC.
No doubt. That Army Navy game was your type of football game, right, Steve? I mean,
we get all the man. It was so like, boring. Like nobody was scoring. I was loving it. I thought it was reminded me of the Ravens games, man. Just crushing defense and controlling the ball. So a lot of that fourth down stop was. I mean, I don't think I've been that pumped in a long time.
No, it was comparable to maybe Oklahoma when they stopped Oklahoma at Oklahoma. But when you're talking Army Navy, it's a whole different animal, right? I mean, it's a whole different in that game to do that. In the game that
you're talking, Army versus Navy. Both offenses believe if they're first and goal, inside the 5. I mean, they got 4 chances to get 5 yards. They're going to get it, 80% of the time. So it was just an awesome, defensive stand. Just to see those young men stand up to a challenge like that was incredible.
I thought he got in on 3rd down, but then you got the instant replay, right? So I mean,
everyone was on their toes, but 15-0 first shutout since 1969, I believe the stat was. So that's huge to do that at Michie Stadium in front of the cadets, even bigger. I mean, it's just a huge. I mean, that I can only imagine Michie Stadium how electrifying Michie Stadium was.
Wait, this is different now, right? Because usually after the Army Navy game, if Army's had a good season, they're preparing for a bowl game right now. You're not preparing for Air Force, and to have this game back to back with Navy, and usually it's Army that has a couple weeks to prepare, a bye to prepare. Usually, now it's Air Force coming in a little bit more fresher than Army. How do you look at that situation heading into this game?
I think usually, yes, it's a bye week Air Force, bye week, sometimes 2 bye weeks before Navy, and then a bye week, 2 bye weeks before a bowl game is usually how we've seen this. The AD's done a good job of keeping that schedule tight. But yeah, coming off an emotional win, coming off of a physical win, the guys need to be out. I hope this week they were able to kind of celebrate that night and then get back to the drawing board because Air Force is coming for it. They got a good team this year. They always play Army tough. So it'll be interesting to see how, the biggest thing is you're going to come out and throw the first punch is going to be huge to start this game off.
Yeah, I look at, I think Coach Monken was asked earlier in the week about, how you keep the guys emotionally ready for Air Force after a big win over Navy. Well, I think, Steve, it's pretty simple. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy's on the line here, right? I mean, that's all you have to say, really. You don't have to, I think these guys kind of know what's at stake tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. The guys know what's at stake. It's not going to get them, you just got to be able to control that emotion, of beating Navy and then having a chance at the CSC. You don't want them too jacked up too early in the week. You don't want them, expelling a lot of that emotional energy and then be able to focus them in come Saturday. So that's really the big thing that the coaches probably tempered the most during the week is just kind of, making them, hey, it's just a normal week. Just continue, X's and O's up front, then execution, 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 and then when the time is right, get up for the game because this is, we. It's almost like we get to play in 3 bowl games this year. Army Navy's always a bowl game. The CIC is a bowl game, and then we've already reached our bowl game. We're going to the Independence Bowl, so we get a 3rd bowl game. So it's a very cool experience to be at West Point at this time. Just going back to back to back huge games in a row.
And you look at what in the summer we weren't even sure what the season would look like, right, with the pandemic, and now you have this type of schedule, and maybe you didn't get a chance to play BYU, and that would have been probably a really good game too. But to finish this way, like you said, let's just go over what so far, like this season. So just the defense this year, man. I mean, I don't know if I expected the defense to be playing this well this year. I mean, they've really, they really had a good season under first-year coordinator Nate Woody. What have you seen in the defense that has impressed you so far this year?
I mean, one is it's the mark of all defenses, but consistency and everybody playing assignment football. Don't really see a lot of guys out of position a lot of the time, which is, when you lose, Cole Christensen, a guy that's, just the heartbeat and just a playmaker across the whole field. And you can come out and play team defense and guys stepping up each game. It's really the consistency of assignment football that, each week the guys know where they need to be. They know where to line up and they know what their keys are. The first-year defense coordinator has done a great job of preparing these guys for each and every game. And I think, we get an added benefit at West Point. We don't have to deal with a lot of the distractions. We kind of are handling the pandemic kind of like holding all the cards for the pandemic in our hands to where we can attack it the way we think is best for the cadets and the student athletes.
Yeah, no doubt. What have you seen in John Radigan this year? I mean, he's a first-year guy who's really rose to the occasion and really been a playmaker for our Army. I saw him in, a spring and preseason practices, and he was always a guy that was, making plays and around the ball. But he's really, I mean, this defense doesn't have maybe the stars in it or the big names, but he certainly had a good year.
Oh, yeah, and he looks the part too. Which always helps out there. So, yeah, and I think that it goes back to playing team defense. Like you said, when you lose the playmakers, the seniors really, and you have to reload. You don't really know what you're going to get. But Rack's been one of those guys, and I think everybody can rely on each other throughout that defense. So I think, just on the other side of the ball, I think it's been real impressive with the amount of quarterbacks we've had to kind of filter through in each game and see each one of those young men step up and when their number's called. As an Army, we pride ourselves as next man up. You never know when it's going to be your last play when you're in the Army. We preach that all the time. Next man up. That guy's got to be able to do your job. And just to switch sides, I mean, the offense has been doing that all year, and it's been a little confusing at times, but it's been fun to watch. Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, you look at if we go to the offensive side of the ball, it's crazy how 4 different quarterbacks have won games for Army this year, right? And now they're going with a guy, Tahir Tyler, who's really, you look at the way he plays, he fits the mold of an Army quarterback, right? He's tough, he's a leader, and it seems like when the Army needs a big play, he's able to get the offense in the right places to pick that up. I remember he's another guy I saw last year in preseason and in spring, and it's like, was academically ineligible last year, but certainly maybe as a scout team type of quarterback, maybe that was a good time for him to learn the offense. Just learn the offenses maybe better. Who knows, or maybe learn defenses, see the defenses better. I don't know. But he's been the last 2 games. He's been really. I mean, that Georgia Southern game, man, that was a roller coaster, right? I mean, the first half, you're like, how what the heck is going on? And then the second half was a totally different story.
Yeah, I think he's been one you get to mature quickly at the quarterback position when you're put in those types of games. But I'd like to see the stat on the last Division I team that's won 4 games with 4 different quarterbacks, a minimum of 4 games with 4 different quarterbacks. I think that's a really interesting stat that we could look up. But the only way to do that is through a great system. Obviously, Coach Bunkin knows this system in and out and has these guys ready. And another thing is, it's not always easy with the leader of the offense changing. You don't get the same feel every week when you have a different guy calling the plays and a different guy running the offense, especially the triple option. So it's not easy on the offensive linemen, the running backs. The gives are different. The way the quarterback hits the holes are different. The speed of the game is different. So when you take a quarterback out of, a triple option offense, it changes a lot of things. So I think it's another testament to the offense that, they understand the system, they understand their keys, their alignment, their execution. And these guys believe that no matter who's behind the ball, they have a chance to win on Saturdays. And it's going to be no different tomorrow. Air Force is going to come in confident. They always do. I always think Air Force is cocky. So it'll be fun to get after there on Saturday and bring home the CIC.
Yeah, I guess we give credit to offensive coordinator Brent Davis and first-year quarterbacks coach Cody Worley for getting those quarterbacks ready, right? I mean, with Texas San Antonio, they were bringing in Cade Ballard and Tahir Tyler like every other series, but they were alternating those guys, and that's not, like you said, that's not new. Going to the I got to go back to, I think it was probably the last time I came Air Force Army game at Mikey Stadium and Air Force. And yeah, I think it was 20. It probably had to be 20 where Air Force warm-ups, they, usually what's the general respect of teams during warm-ups? You take one half of the field, take the other half of the field, right? Well, Air Force is setting up guys past punts on Army side of the practice field. And it was just like, I remember, I can remember the TV showed like Nick Schregg, a punter, catching a football, and like Air Force coach, when he came down, had to link on the Air Force coach, the Air Force assistant, and the Air Force assistant going. And it's just like, there's a lot of respect with Army Navy, right? We've talked about this, the rivalry of the service academies. Army and Navy is the matchup there. It seems like Air Force, where does Army and Air Force sit? Because it may not, it's not, but this year, with everything line, Navy has a little Army Navy feel, but it's always like there's always been. I think I saw Connor Creek tonight on Twitter. Something former Army. Nothing he despises more than Air Force. So, I don't know if that's how it is, or something that builds up during your 4 years there. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Sal. I think it's yeah, I just don't like them. I don't like Air Force. Never have. Never liked playing them. I just think all their guys are way cocky. They're out in Colorado Springs. They're kind of West Coast, kind of feel. Even though they're Mountain Time. They literally, to me, there's a mutual respect between Army and Navy. Even when Navy was thrashing us for over a decade, that game was still played with a lot of honor, a lot of a lot of passion, and a lot of mutual respect for one another. Where it just, I don't know, it just always seemed like Air Force was arrogant and just thought they were better than us, and they may have been, and the record shows that they have beaten us more times than we've beaten them. The record never matters between Army and Navy, and it seems like Air Force always kind of holds that arrogant, we're better than Army, we're better than Navy kind of attitude. And that's why we just don't like them. And that's why it always feels good beating them.
Does it still hold true now that out of now you're serving? Because they say, hey, your academy brothers, you're going to be fighting alongside each other. That relationship's going to change. Relationship change for you?
Yeah, no, I actually a good neighbor of mine is here at the 101st. He's an Air Force grad, Air Force guy. We're good buddies. It's good banter. He's a couple years ahead of me, so he outranks me. But there was nothing any of that. He didn't He was like, "Oh, I never understood. That's not how we felt at the academy." It's like, yeah, say what you want now, man. I lived it. I knew it. Doesn't help you 10 years down the road.
Hey, I'm sure that you may have got the better of Air Force on that play that we always talk about, right? On that play where you jumped the line. I'm sure you gave him some back after that play, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's it's one of the plays that everybody still talks about to this day. Everybody talks about me jumping over the center, 4th and inches. So it's funny, I still anytime I see my buddies, I'm always Fitty. Everybody calls me Fitty when they see me, especially around this time of year. So it's fun. It's good memories. But I most look forward to the Army victories on Saturdays. Having been, I'm 10 years removed.
Right.
My last season was 2010. It's hard to realize that, but I know how important these games are to those current players. They don't understand it yet. Of course, when you're young, you don't really know how important things are until you're older. But I really look forward to seeing how those kids, how these young men play, and get after it on Saturday. And it's just fun, seeing them.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you as a football how maybe I don't know if rewarding is the right word, but they've had how proud are you of the season that football teams had this year under the circumstances? And some may say, yeah, they played a like maybe a weak schedule. They played who they scheduled. So I mean, how proud are you of the way the team has? I mean, 8 wins. The games lost to a really good Cincinnati team. The Tulane game, the score might indicate how close that game was early on with the way it ended. But I mean, they've really fought for these 8 wins.
Yeah, I mean, everybody says that, and that's, to me, it's really, I don't know, it's kind of a cop out because it doesn't matter at this level. It's hard to win week in and week out. It doesn't matter who you play, especially under a pandemic. We don't know, these young men's families are being affected by COVID. These young men's lives are being affected by COVID. Everybody can think what you want about the virus, and because it doesn't really affect guys like me who are in good shape. Like I'm not in any real serious, but people do have grandparents, and these guys have to fight through that just like any other team, and you don't know what's going on behind closed doors in anybody's life. So super proud of those guys going in and week out, setting their mind to the task. I don't care who you are. Winning 8 games, winning 9 games is impressive at the Division I level. I don't care how many 1AA teams you play, how many Power 5 teams you play. It's tough and it's impressive. And these young men are doing exactly what we like to see. As a senior Army officer now, I love to see grit. I love to see perseverance. I love to see overcoming adversity in these young leaders that are going to be future infantry officers, going to be future field artillery officers. So this is just a small taste of what they'll have to do in the regular Army when they join the ranks, when they commission. And it's promising to know that they're up for the task no matter what it will be.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, because even like recently, there's been some they've had, I don't know if they've had any players test positive, but the contact tracing has cost. You look at last week, Steve, they shut out Navy, right? They were playing without a starting defensive lineman. Malcolm Morrison, who's like the safety, the hybrid Apache safety, didn't play in that game. They were playing without a couple key guys, and yeah, the depth on this team has really been pretty impressive because they had to shuffle cornerbacks most of the year on defense. And this is a young team, Steve, too. I mean, there are not a lot of they're heavy senior on the offensive line, but that's about it. They're going to return a lot of these guys next year. So I mean, to have an 8-2 season right now, possibly, they win their next 2 games, a double-digit season, and during under the conditions, that is definitely a step forward in the program after only 5 wins last year. So,
Oh yeah, and I mean, Sal, find another team in the Division One that's winning 10 games this year. It'll be hard. There's only going to be a handful that one played as many games as we did, two won as many games as we did, because we have been doing the right thing, and trying to social distance as much as possible and eliminate those contact traces. But we're also not canceling games because of COVID. Because we have a couple star players with COVID. I know that was kind of the thing behind the first Army Air Force game is that they had a couple star players test positive for COVID and they couldn't contact trace. And, they got that's another thing that, kind of upset a lot of guys is that they got 150 guys on their roster. They got 3 guys that test positive. Okay, those 3 guys can't play. All right, send the next man up. And that's where, as an Army officer, we see, the difference between the mentality of Air Force and Army is, hey, we're next man up. We don't, of course we'd love to have you, but we gotta play with the next man up. Where Air Force decided to, cancel the trip before even canceling the game and letting us know. So, we haven't forgotten about that. Don't worry, Air Force. It's still on our mind.
no doubt. And, I thought Coach Monken, maybe I'm misquoting him, maybe I'm not, but I thought he said they have like over 200 guys on their roster, right?
Yeah, it's just like any service academy. You've got, we probably carry a strong, 100 guys that we try to rotate as much as possible. We got another 50 on scout team and probably another 50 that's, working their time in. I mean, that's the same way all service academies go.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear, oh, we can't contract Chase and we got these guys, it just so happened to be your star offensive players and 2 of your star defensive players that test positive and you can't play. Yeah. Okay. Whatever, Air Force. We'll see you on Saturday. We'll see you tomorrow. We haven't forgotten. We're ready to bring it.
There you go. We should wrap it up right here, but I got one more question for you real quick. It was news that went down yesterday about how the next 2 Army Air Force games are going to be moved to Texas Rangers Globe Field there. What do you think about that? What do you think? Because it's been the last neutral site game between Army and Air Force has been 1965. And I think I thought I made this maybe clear in my blog. You can move those games, Army Air Force games, anywhere in the country. That's not Army Navy. It's not Army Navy. And I think that traditionally it's worked out perfectly. Having it at the stadium and Falcon Stadium. So why not keep it that way? I know they're probably getting some money to do it. I'm guessing that is the driving force is money. I get it during the pandemic times. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it, right? It doesn't mean I have to agree that it's a good idea because I don't think it's a good idea. Terrible idea.
I think I know I like going out to Colorado Springs. It's a beautiful area. You usually stay in a great hotel when you go out there, and it's nice. I'm actually my next assignment. I'm heading to Fort Carson, so I'll be in Colorado Springs. So I'll be able to get underneath the skin of all those Zoomies out there on a regular basis in the coming years. But yeah, I think we both know, Sal, it's a money driven thing, which is fine. More people, they're going to try to make it an Army Navy feel. I'm sure it'll happen with Navy Air Force as well. But it's a cool experience for the guys. I mean, it'll be a bowl game in the middle of the year, kind of feel, and that's what they're going to try to do. Texas is always huge Army. We're going to have a bunch of travels in Texas. No problem with that. It's not like we're going, somewhere where heavy airmen are everywhere. So I have no problem going to Texas. A lot of Army fans in Texas. So we'll be traveling heavy like we usually do. And but yeah, I agree with you, Sal. I love playing at Michie Stadium, especially with Coach Monken. I mean, we're pretty successful there. So when you take a game away from there, it puts us at a disadvantage because we're so good at winning there. But it'll be good for a guy, good experience. I mean, we played Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium my senior year. It was an awesome experience. So it'll be fun for the guys. We'll try it out for 2 years, see what the revenue is, and then who knows, move it, or maybe it goes to Dallas Stadium at AT&T. Who knows?
Crazy, yeah. Because I was going to ask you about that Notre Dame game. That game was a special game, right, Steve? I mean, that playing a program like that when Army played Rutgers and UConn, it didn't really at Yankee Stadium. It didn't really have that same feel to it, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I mean, but who knows? We'll see how they Lockheed Martin, and I believe, is a sponsor of this game. So you're thinking it'll be a lot of military driven type of maybe pre games and stuff around the game. Hopefully, when we get back to normal after the virus. So I mean, you have a lot of nicer things than I have about that yesterday.
So yeah,
but
good.
it was great catching up, man. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Sal. I'm glad we were able to do this. And beat Air Force.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll have some coverage of the game. The kickoff is 3:00 tomorrow. It's on CBS Sports. I believe it's on CBS Sports Network, not CBS. So, yeah. Real quick before we go, what's your prediction for the game? Do you think that this is a solid Army win, or do you think it's going to be a grind for them?
I got 24-17 Army.
Wow. Okay, I had 17-14 Army, so we're around the same area. Appreciate it, Steve. Great catching up. Maybe we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely, Sal. Beat Air Force.